G'day and welcome to the Campfire Project. Today I'm here with a very special guest, Gabrielle Diaz, and she's presently here with her mother, Wendy Diaz. How are you both today?
Very good,
We're well,
you.
thank you, Alan. Thank you for having us.
Well, thank you're welcome. And if anybody's wondering why I'm actually going to be interviewing more Gabrielle than her mother today, is that Gabrielle, at the age of 8, started writing her own book, which she published in November 2021. The thing that I find really special is that Gabriella has actually written 8 books with a 9th one in the series, already published 3. The 4th one, I believe, is in going through editing at the moment, and 5 to 8 are already waiting for being published as well. Is that correct?
Yes. We just need to start editing them first, and then we have to go through the whole process, and then they'll be out.
Yeah, it's quite a process. We're learning, but she's doing well. She's doing really well with it.
You know, the thing that really impressed me is that you've done this in 24 months, in 2 years, 8 books, with the 9th one in the process at the moment. And Agatha Christie wrote 66 detective novels, and I think it was 24 short stories. So, and she did that in her 86 years of life. You're how old now, Gabriella?
Turning 11 in November.
So you're 10 now?
Yeah, I'm 10 now.
So my question is, how many books are you planning to write in your lifetime?
As many as I can get out.
Well, yeah, actually, she's already, Alan.
I'm already planning.
She's already got the next version, and then actually last night you were telling me about the one after that.
Yeah, so. I've got 3 book series ideas in mind. So the one after the one that I'm writing right now, then the one after that, and then the one after that, I've got it all planned out.
Well, I know that with the ones you've written, the Light of Luna has been the series, and I can see that each one's been travelling on, with the backstory being the 8th one, and then also their adult life coming out in the 9th one. I believe that's correct.
Yeah. Backstories and future tales are side books. They're not exactly in the line of the series. You can read them at any time from book 4 up. Backstories explains their life before they come into book 1, and then future tales is how their life turns out after book 7.
Okay. I'm blown away. This is, yeah, listening to you and the way you've got everything planned out, you've got your head really firmly around it. How did this all start in the first place?
Well, my year 2 teacher, she challenged the class to write a book, but soon it kind of nobody was talking about it anymore, but I kept writing outside of school, and it just became my project. And then when I passed the halfway mark for my first book, that's when my parents started taking it more seriously. And it was finished the next April in 2021. So I was going to turn 9 that year, and then it was published in November. But we've re-edited it since then, and edited the next 2 books in line, and then published them all just recently.
Excellent. And the thing is, as you said, then halfway through, that was when your parents started taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Wendy, tell us your story and hit this process.
Well, yeah, she was extremely excited when she came home about this project, you know, and we gave her the old HP Silver laptop that was lying around and taught her about Word. I think she was learning about it at school anyway, and she just started typing, you know, little finger going like this, and I kept saying to her, you know, keep going, thinking, you know, it might peter out. But she just started bashing out these chapters, and at the halfway through, like at the 9th chapter, I looked at my hubby and I said, she might actually finish this book. Like this could be very likely. And she did. She did. She just kept going. Yeah.
Learning how to type, I can remember a lot from it because we also had typing class at school, and I can remember being the fastest kid typing, and because I'd been like outside of school, and the typing class really helped me to get more chapters out, because about 2 months later I was just like, And kids in typing class were like, Gabby, can you come do this for me? Can you come write this for me? Because yeah, because I was fast apparently.
Okay, well, let's go a bit more into the book itself with the theme that you put together. How did all that come about?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. My friends and I were really passionate about the project, and their personalities kind of reminded me of characters in a book story. So I based the characters around them, and yeah, those characters were just telling their own lives as it kept on going.
And so what?
Yeah.
You were going to say, Wendy?
It just grew, like it just, and you know, it would be interesting to watch her. You know, she would she'd get lost in thought. You could see her spacing out and working on the story, and then she would have these bursts of writing, and she would say to me, I need to go and write, Mama, I need to write. And then I think it's the only time she's allowed to go to bed really, really late, because it's not often that happens. And then she'll say, Mom, I've got a really good idea. Can I write? And I'm like, go for it. Don't worry. It's 10 o'clock at night. It doesn't matter. So there she is in her bed writing, because it would, you know, go. She's always kept consistent with it. It's incredible. Like Gaby is always writing. There's spurts when she does it more. I've noticed, for example, when we're away from our routine of every day, when we're on holiday, that's when it really just ramps up. Like we went to Cairns recently, and on the plane she's writing, her friends calling her to go into the swimming pool because she's writing, and you know, so yeah, it's just been interesting to watch her process, Alan.
Excellent. So as parents, how have you felt about all the writing? What impact has it had in the relationship? What's had an impact has had on you as a parent?
Oh, it's been incredible. I mean, it's just been such a beautiful experience. Firstly, witnessing her craft and her gift. It's such a privilege. I always say that. It's been such a privilege. And in fact, once she started getting going, I actually started recording, because I actually thought people aren't going to believe that her work ethic is just incredible, and her persistence, and the fact that she follows through. And I thought it was actually just going to be one book. And then she just kept on writing, and then I knew I was in trouble. I knew I'd have to get help with this, you know. So it's been incredibly special. We feel very blessed to be around and to try and help her as much as possible to get. She's a storyteller, Alan. You know, she's a storyteller, and we just want to. I think there was I asked you, what did you want to do with your books? I need to find it and get it out, because we laminated it. You said, remember that piece of paper that we laminated, that A3, and you said you wanted to get your books out into the world? I said, what's your goal with this?
Oh, wait, to have like my books more than personal value.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So she had that mission statement already, and it used to be on her cupboard wall. So yeah, it's just about trying to get her storytelling out there as much as possible.
Excellent. Can you just tell us that mission statement again, so everybody who's listening to this can hear it as well?
Well, I can't exactly remember it, but I know it went something like, I would love to be able to hold my books and cherish them in a way more than personal value.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think you know,
like
for us, for me personally, I just wanted her to be able to hold her book in her hand. You know, I was actually lucky enough to have gone through the self-publishing process. Yeah, you can brag. I just wanted to go through the process of I had been through the process of self-publishing a book for the work that I did the year before. And so I knew what to do, right? And so for me, it was just, this is what you've created. Look at what's possible, and look what you've created, you know? And then it just turned into more than one.
It turned into this.
Yeah.
Then it turned into this. And then it turned into this.
Absolutely brilliant. I love the colours on the books as well. So
we've had fun. We've had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so that, as you say, it would have been the writing of the book, but then it's also all the work that goes around that. It's getting organised for the publishing. It's also the colours you're going to use and the designs and everything else. So where did all the designs and that for the books come from?
Well, part of it was from just searching the internet, just like scrolling down shades of blue, purple,
And what you
pink.
liked.
Yeah, and then to find the objects like the moon or the crown, we went on what's it?
Went on to Shutterstock.
Yeah, Shutterstock. And we just looked and looked until we found one, and we were like, that one. I want that one.
Yeah, it's been a great project in that, like Gabriella has said, it's about finding what she liked and then obviously just customizing it to match the story, and then finding someone who could bring it to life. So we have a beautiful graphic designer called Karen who helped us do these, and she happens to be a local mom down the road, you know, so she's brought that to life. Then when we were doing Gabriella's website, there was another lady in our community who's this amazing photographer, Jay. So she helped us with those. So it's just been, we've had to be very resourceful.
Yeah.
And you know, and just keep it within as authentic as possible to Gabriella and the story, you know.
Excellent. So as a mother being involved in this process, you know, a lot of parents, you know, we don't get a chance to really connect with our kids. The kids are playing and everything else, but this has been a completely different relationship between you and Gabriella than most parents would have with their children. So how's that flowed? Yeah, how's that flowed for you?
I haven't actually ever thought of it like that, but yeah, I love how she involves us in her world. Like she's always telling us about her
You must read this right now.
And that's what she'll do. She'll come to me and she'll go, Mama, read this, it's so good, read this, you know, or and you know what I have found beautiful is actually just watching her writing get better and better and better, and falling in love with these characters. I mean, there's adventure, there's drama, they're villains, but there's also love. They're love stories all mixed, and it's an incredibly involved story. It's quite complicated and detailed, and she puts me in my place when I don't keep up. Like, for example, she describes a scene about a character, because they're two worlds and they travel through portal, and so all 6 children are coming through a portal in one part, but another character slips in and lands in the bedroom of the children's home and then flies out the window. And I remember saying to you, why would that happen? That's quite irrelevant. And what does that have to do with it?
No. It comes in book 4. It comes in book 4. You'll know why. You'll know why.
So she'll say, and then I'll get confused about something else, and she goes, no, because now we're in book 3, chapter 6, and she says, no, Mom, but don't forget, in book 2, chapter 1, or in book 2, chapter 13, this and this happened, and that explains 46. That, you know. So she's on it. She knows every chapter, every character, every part of the story. You know, if anyone ever had to say, are you sure she wrote those stories? I'm like, ask her any question and she'll be able to give you the timeline and the breakdown, you know. So it's been very special, Alan. A lot of bonding time. I think our biggest where we niggle at each other is when she has to edit her books because she doesn't like the editing. You know, it's almost like and I've been told most writers are like this, you know, she just wants to get it down and move on, and I'm going, oh, you got to come back here. So yeah, that's been fun.
Yeah.
You know, I think getting the ideas out is one thing, but then you know, and getting the connection between them is, you can do that, but then it's getting the editing is always, it's just a long, slow process, and it's not as much fun as actually putting the thing together in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we've also had, you know, when she finished writing her first book, we realized that, you know, there's only so much about writing a story that I know. And so we were introduced to an amazing man, Gareth Brooks, who is such an incredibly accomplished writer, screenplay writer in his own right. And he has been working with Gaby and coaching her. And it was very much saying to Gareth, this is not about butchering her work and pulling it apart. And this has to remain authentically Gaby and what her story is. But please, can you teach her how to write stories well, even more so than what she's currently doing. Give her all that extra good stuff, you know, the structure to storytelling.
So help her with all the process, but not do anything about the content.
Correct. And this is what's so amazing about this project. And this is why I love that we are able to do this in this era, is that Gareth is English, but lives in Romania, right? So that was her coaching sessions or Zoom calls. We have the illustrator, a gentleman called Ian, who lives in Peru. And, you know, and so let me see if you can see that these are the characters.
Brilliant.
You know, and so it was a question of me sitting down with Gaby and going, okay, Gabsy, what do your characters look like? Like, we have to brief Ian, you know?
This one's, no, that one's my favorite. That was my favorite.
Which one, Daphne?
Daphne.
Okay, you have to go up to the... There you go.
Yes.
Daphne turns into the turtle.
I love her.
She turns into the turtle. So, yeah, so that's been the process. And I mean, and then I'd say to Ian, and this is all typing, you know, we haven't met him, we haven't Zoomed him, we haven't spoken to him. Hey, Ian, have you ever done maps before? And he said, no, we haven't done a map. I'm like, okay, because we need a map. We need a map because I just wanted to visually represent the worlds that Gaby's created. So what we've done now is we've got this little postcard that becomes a bookmark for when people get the book. And this is the planet. So he's created these worlds. I mean, Gabsy, you talk about it, love. This is your world. Queen.
Well, one thing before you jump into that, thing I love here is the connection that you have with this as well, because it's definitely become a family affair, but it also is not that. See, the Campfire Project was created under the hashtag We Together, because together everybody can make a difference. But when we're not together, we don't get any results. Things stay the way they are. Nothing changes. But you've had neighbours, you've had people around the world supporting you.
Yep.
This connects to the hashtag We Together beautifully.
Yes.
So I'm loving hearing this.
Thanks, Ellen.
Well, the world that we live in this book, in the first two books, is on Sister Planet, and there are species called
You have to hold it up there, love.
There are species called animals, and they have queendoms of their own. So, whereas this one, the fire horses, those are people that can transform into horses and back, and they can control things like lava and fire.
Actually, it's this way.
No, wait, wrong way.
Which one do you want to do next? Just do another one, two, and then.
Then the sea turtles.
Mm-hmm.
They're humans that can transform into turtles and back, and they can control water. And then in the next planet that we find out about in book 3 and up is Barlaria. And they have like the same kind of idea. So they have the same elements like fire. Can you see the fire?
Yeah, and then water.
And then the water.
And forest, the rocks and the wolves.
But instead of having horses and turtles, they'd have unicorns for the fire horses, so fire unicorns, and instead of water turtles, they're water hippocampus.
They're mythical creatures.
Yeah. So Sister Planet has more natural creatures, and then Valeria has more mythical creatures. Yeah.
And she goes into detail on the queendoms. Like I've still got the deck of slides that she has taken from Google, and this is 2 years ago. And she's taken, for example, Mrs. Pastel is Queen am I ruining the story if I say it?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Anyway, there's one character where she would take a picture that she found on the internet that was similar to what she had in mind. Then she writes about the traits of the queen, the culture of the queendom, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and how they integrate with all the other queendoms.
It was a whole card game in making.
Yeah, yeah. So there's so much more that can unfold here, and in fact, and then the descriptions are in the back of the book as well, and you can also, they're on her website as well. We've loaded up the descriptions of the planets, queendoms, so you can go and have a read there.
Yeah. It's not I asked you before how many books you were going to write, but it's a lot more than just excellent. It's not more than just writing books. As you've said, she's brought all these different ideas together. She's created the characters, the backstory or stories about those. You know, there's also brought in mythical creatures, brought in things like supernatural, all sorts of things.
It's a bit of a production, really. I mean, it's and the thing is, what I love, this is what I enjoy as well, and this is all still very new for us. The books have only just come out, right? So but when you sit down with Gabriella and you have her start talking about her characters and how they integrate. Thank you. And relate to.
I just love that. That's beautiful. Thank you very much. Come on, Mum, get it together.
I've lost my train of thought.
Talking about the inter 8.
Yeah, there's so much more that comes out, you know. That's what I'm trying to say. When you actually just sit with her and ask her the right questions, and it just all pours out. It pours out. Yeah.
In my eyes, it's not a story. It's someone's life that I can mold together and make my own world of. And then as soon as everything is set, everything is organized, their whole life it makes sense, then that's real. That whole world is not fiction anymore.
Yeah, actually. And you, book 4 focuses very much on the love between 2 characters called Drift and Noah. And you were actually quite sad to finish writing that book. You mentioned that a few times.
Yeah.
She gets really into it, you know.
I don't want to finish.
Yeah, I'm listening to all this and I'm blown away with the whole thing. There's so many things that are happening here as well. It's the imagination you've got, the depth in which you bring it together. I won't ask you what you've got planned outside the books because you don't want anybody pinching those ideas, but I can see that there's going to be a lot more coming from not just writing the books itself.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling that in your lifetime you'll probably come close to, if not exceed, what Agatha Christie's done in writing books, but there's also going to be a lot of other stuff that you're going to build around that as well.
Yeah, watch this space, Alan.
Exactly. Because as you've said, you know, you've written books, and as you've said to your mother, you know, think when you're reading this bit and you don't fully understand it, well, that goes into this book and it goes back out into the future books as well. So not only are you writing the books one by one, you've also seen all of them at the same time as well.
That's true in 2 ways, because I started writing more books at the same time when I started writing book 4. So say I'm writing book 4, I'd be like on chapter 13 of book 5 already, and I'd be starting book 6 already, and then I'd already have the next few books planned out. So it was kind of a whole structure.
And without writing down a single note. And that's not necessarily a good thing. So that's what her writing coach is actually saying. You need
it's my fatal flaw.
It's your fatal flaw. You need to actually just, you know, plan, put it down on paper, because it's all up here for her. It's all up there for her.
Well, I wanted to say thank you, Wendy, for coming along and sharing your side of the story as the parent. I'm going to have a bit more of a chat with Gabriella shortly, but, you know, can you tell us, just leave us with some thoughts about how this all came together? Because I know that Kathy Wong's a good friend of mine. It said to me that you've got to meet Gabriella. And I went, great. And then we had a chat recently, and I thought, yep, I wanted for people to see the connection between the support you get from your parents, etc.
Thank you. Yeah, and big thanks to Kathy for mentioning Gabby to you.
Yeah.
And yeah, just to mention my hubby and my son, you know, they work in the background and supporting Gabriella. We refer to my hubby as the director of IT and distribution, you know, getting the website up and running and the back end, and then my gorgeous boy just supporting his sister with such grace, and giving me ideas as well, you know, in terms of reach out into the community. Like, for example, just people that he is seeing out there, and the stuff that they're doing, and going, hey, Mom, you know, maybe that could work. You need to think about this. So yeah, it's definitely a family project. It's our passion project, and I just wanted to say that as well. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And quickly, Dante, how old's Dante, your brother?
Dante is 12. He's about to turn 13. So he's Gabby's older brother. In fact, he had such a beautiful, I caught it on video, but he's very shy. He doesn't want anyone to, you know, but I've got this beautiful video of when Gabby's first edition of her first book arrived. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We were outside on the porch, and I'd set up the camera to document this moment because it was a pretty special moment for our family. And he walked out, and just his hands went to his head, and he was like, oh wow, and he picks it up. He goes, it's a real book. Wow, she's done it, you know, like, it just to see his joy in that moment for her was pretty special. So he's an incredible support and mind, and as is his dad. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much.
Thank you. I'll leave you to Gabriella.
Yep, that'll be great.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, well, Gabriella, I'd love to know more about how you feel about the process, the people that have been around you, the support that you've been given, etc.
Okay. Well, a huge part of people that have really supported me and given me ideas are my friends. But these two, they took me in. They were nice to me. They supported me, and they really wanted to read my books. And they were always like, Gabby, this piece of writing is so good. So yeah, I'm very thankful for them.
Excellent. Your family's been around you, helping you with this as well. We know that you've had neighbours who have helped you with artwork and other things, and people around the world with drawings and maps. And
yeah.
So what has it meant to you to have all those people around you?
It means a lot because it knows that there are people out there who are putting in time and effort for something that doesn't have to be on their shoulders. Because this all just started out as my thing, but then there are people that want to help as much as they can, when they know they don't have to. Like my mom, she just didn't stop helping me because she was so passionate about it. And I'm very thankful for her.
Excellent. And as Mum was saying that your dad been on the shy side, but he's been there as a solid support for you in the background.
Yeah, he's always helping getting like my books in physical form. He's always suggesting like, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that for either like the editing process or just like writing it.
Yeah. So with that, just thinking that the different phases you've gone through, like it was the initial idea when the school teacher had challenged you all to do it, then the process of starting to do it. It was a writing, you've got the editing that came, and yeah, let's face it, editing is not the fun job.
Yeah.
But keeping the stories together, but then also the production that goes after that. Can you give us an idea of when you first started writing the book, what were your thoughts like at that point? Did you feel that this was going to be a project you're going to stick with, or was it just something you were doing as part of the challenge, or what?
Well, when I first started writing, I was a little bit young, so I was about 8 years old, and I I was very excited because I'd never really considered writing a book before. And I was just like, I'm gonna do this, it's gonna be cool, and this is gonna be so much fun. And so I started, and I guess I just didn't think about the fact that I was writing, because most kids my age would not write in their free time.
Mm.
I was just immersed in my story and how real it felt, and that I could shape this however I wanted.
Right. So as you were writing the book, the feeling that, okay, this was something that was taking shape. This was something that had a future in it. And you would have found, did you find that made it easier for you to keep writing? Because I know the first book took you about 9 months to write, but I know some of the others, I've looked at the timeframes, and one of them, there've been two and a half, 4 months, but one of them was 1.5 months.
Yeah. The first book took me a lot longer because I was just starting to realize how my characters were, how the story was going to be, and also part of the fact that I was just like,
I remember those days when I first started learning how to type. It was 2 fingers.
yeah. And the one that took 1.5 months, I'm not sure how my brain worked to make a book in that short time. But it just knew what was going to happen. It had planned it out. It knew the characters and their relationships with one another, and so it just had to fill in the wording, and so then it came out.
So you had the idea first, and then been able to put it into words, and then you've written the other books, as I said, in faster time as you've been going along. Has it been the first one just made it easier to write the second one that made it easier to then write the third one?
Yeah. The more I wrote books, the more I got used to how to word my ideas and how to put them on the page, and that just became a faster process for me because I was so used to it.
Excellent. And as your mum said, you've been told that you need to write things down as they come to you, but you haven't been writing them down. But to write 8 books with interconnections of things coming from previous books into this book, etc., and something that happens in this one going to actually really come into play in a later book. How did you keep all that together in your head if you didn't write it down?
Well, as I said, it's always been my fatal flaw to not be able to write things down, because when I think of my books, when I think of writing them down, I think of writing them down the way that I would put it on Word, because just writing like this person does this for me is, I don't know, it seems wrong, because when I get an idea, I think about it in my head for like a solid 14 hours. And I think about how I'm going to say it. I think of the exact wording, and it would just stick there, and I would kind of choose parts of my mind I'd want to look at, if that made sense. So maybe when I'm bored, I'd be like, okay, I want to think about what I can do for Light of Luna book 7, and then I'd all of a sudden know everything. I don't know.
So it's, because I can see writing it down is a little bit mechanical, but to do it the way you're doing it, you're actually living the book before you've written the book.
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah, I like that idea. It's just that, when you get to my age, your memory is not as good, so you might come up with a brilliant idea, but then you go, what was that idea? But you've been able to keep it. I've noticed while I've been talking, with your mum earlier on, you were able to come back to subjects and finish off a sentence that I'd already asked, and I'd almost forgotten the question I'd asked.
Yeah.
So it shows a very active mind, which I really love. Do you find the support from those other kids really beneficial to help you keep going?
Yeah. It was really encouraging to know that not everyone at my school didn't exactly vibe with me, and that I could hang with people, and those people would give me more ideas, because the more time I spend with people, the more realistic my books can become, and that just makes them more real.
I love it. That's really important. It's the whole thing of the Campfire Project is bringing people together, and the support that we give each other, and being able to have those people around us is extremely important. So with the the books themselves. You've got the first 8 written, you've got the 9th one that you're working on at the moment. And, you know, that, as you said, the 8th and 9th book, you can read at any time. The stories of what's coming in the future in book 9. Book 8 is the backstories, a bit more detail about everybody. So if you, with a series of books, are you looking at extending the series, or have you got ideas for a new series?
Well, I know that Future Tales, which is the one that I'm writing now, which is where it explains the adulthood of them, is going to be the last book in the Light of Luna family. Once I'm done with Future Tales, I'll move on to a series that I've already started writing. It's called Legend of Lizard. Once I'm done with that, I've got another series in mind called Dimensions. And then after that, I've got another series in mind called Massacre.
I won't ask you to give away the theme behind those, but I'm speechless. I'm blown away. It's excuse me. You know, being at your age and being able to do all of this and being dedicated to what you're doing, there's a lot of other kids out there who just don't know what they want to do.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for other kids and that to help them to get some focus on what they're doing?
Well, you should always keep looking, because at the end of every storytelling path, there is a character that can help mold your story, and that can be in a book or in real life, because in real life that could be a person that supports you and helps you keep on looking through that path, and in the book that character can help mold your whole story. So that's for both fiction and for realism. I'd just say keep looking. There's always something.
Excellent. And connections with other people, all of those things are extremely important. So I'm glad that you've had those around you. And I think, you know, with this chat, I think this is a good point to finish off on, because what you just said a moment ago, I think I'd like people to go back and have a listen to again and reflect on that, because there's a lot of people out there who are lost, but you've given some really good ideas on how they can find some direction in their life.
Yeah.
So, Gabriella, as I said, I've been blown away with this whole conversation. I've been blown away looking at just your resume. It's longer than most adults, the things you've already created with your books and everything. So I'm looking forward to seeing where it all you know, flows, or how it flows along, because I'd love you to come back and tell us after the series is all up and when you're moving on to the next one, but mainly getting the feedback from you on what you've experienced and what you've got out of this process, so that others can listen to it and get some ideas for themselves as well. Because everything we say and do, we are part of everybody else's environment.
Yeah.
And we have an impact on each other. As I said, hashtag we together, everything's connected.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for coming today. I'll tell you that I feel very honoured that to have a chat with you and to meet somebody as young as you, who's putting, you know, so much into her life. And
Thanks for having me.
it's a good point for everybody else who's listening to this. Just, you never know what you can achieve until you actually try.
Yeah.
So thanks very much, Gabriella.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.